Bodybuilding is going through a strange moment, and for many people, even a concerning one. Over the past few months, something has clearly shifted in the professional scene. Training methods are getting increasingly unusual, physiques are changing abruptly, and athletes are reaching body weight numbers that once seemed impossible. All of this is happening at the same time, raising questions and grabbing the attention of fans around the world. On one side, we're seeing established champions adopting approaches that completely break away from what has always been considered the sport's standard. Machines are being used in unexpected ways, with unconventional angles and workouts that raise more questions than see clear answers. On the other side, there are athletes who keep pushing the limits of size, mass, and strength, even during phases that, in theory, should be more controlled. On top of that, recent physical changes in some major bodybuilding names have sparked serious debates about health, longevity, and even the future of these athletes' competitive careers. In some cases, the loss of size is shocking. In others, extreme gains raise concerns that go far beyond the stage and the trophies. So the goal of this video is simple and straight to the point. Bring together the main recent bodybuilding news, explain what's going on, put each case into context, and raise the questions many fans are already asking. This isn't about gossip or personal opinions. It's about understanding the signals the sport is sending right now. And before we move on to the next updates, here's a quick invite. If you like this more direct, news-style format, drop a comment below and let me know if you want to see more content like this on the channel. The idea is to test it, hear your feedback, and if the response is positive, bring more videos in this style. Now, let's move on to the first big news of today. The first major highlight in today's news involves Brandon Curry, former Mr. Olympia and one of the most respected athletes in modern bodybuilding history. And precisely because of that, everything he does gets analyzed under a microscope. Over the past few weeks, his training videos have drawn attention for reasons that go completely against the approach that originally made him a champion on stage. In the footage he's posted, Brandon can be seen using machines in unconventional ways, forcing unusual angles, and adapting exercises that clearly weren't designed for that type of stimulus. Some of the most talked about examples include single-leg hack squats, chest machines being used to target the lateral delts, and pullover variations that almost no one applies in that way. What really fuels the debate isn't just how different these exercises look, but the context behind them. This is not the style of training that built Brandon Curry's championship physique. Many fans have also suggested that these videos don't represent his real heavy training, but rather lighter variations, used as finishers or even as promotional content. That suspicion grows when you notice that many of these posts are tied to brands and supplements, which is part of the game, but definitely changes how this content is perceived. On the other hand, there's one point that can't be ignored. Lighter training, focused on feel, control, and muscle contraction, could help explain Brandon Curry's longevity in the sport and the fact that he's avoided major injuries throughout his career. The question that remains is simple and straightforward. Does this method really work for athletes aiming to compete at the highest level, or does it only make sense during specific phases of a career? Let me know what you think in the comments. The second highlight in today's news involves Victor Martinez, a name that defined an era in professional bodybuilding and who, for many years, impressed fans by maintaining a massive physique even well into his 50s. That's exactly why his most recent images caught so much attention. Victor now appears noticeably smaller than what people were used to seeing. Up until not long ago, Victor was still carrying an impressive amount of size. His arms were still huge, his torso thick, and his overall look competitive enough to spark rumors about a possible return in Masters competitions. Many believed that, even past his prime, he could still surprise people on stage. That picture changed after serious spinal surgeries and a long period away from heavy training. During recovery, there was also a significant drop in muscle mass. The visual difference is obvious, and for many fans, even shocking, especially when compared to photos from just a few years ago. But this shift also opens the door to an important reflection. Maybe this new physique represents something that rarely gets prioritized in bodybuilding: health and longevity. Carrying extreme body weight after decades of intense training takes a serious toll, and downsizing can be a conscious choice to protect long-term quality of life. Now, the big question is what comes next. Will Victor maintain this lighter physique, focusing purely on health and well-being, or will he try to regain some of that size as he returns to more consistent training? What do you think makes the most sense at this stage of an athlete's life? Another name dominating recent bodybuilding discussions is Andrew Jacked. New videos, photos, and different camera angles have reignited intense debates among fans, coaches, and analysts, mainly because of certain physical details that really stand out. Among the most talked about points are his extremely prominent rear delts, visible even from the front, which is unusual at this level. On top of that, in some poses and contractions, his arms appear to show very little muscular movement, which has raised even more questions about the look, density, and overall presentation of his physique. These details have brought discussions back to the surface about potential chemical excesses and interventions that may be directly influencing his appearance. For many people, certain angles and proportions simply don't seem to follow a normal pattern, even by today's professional bodybuilding standards. On the other hand, there's one undeniable fact. Andrew Jacked keeps progressing in the competitive scene. He's moving up in placings, delivering increasingly impactful physiques, and establishing himself as a strong contender in the shows he competes in. So the big question is simple and straight to the point. If this path is working and producing results, is there really a reason to change anything? Or does the debate exist only in the perception of the fans? The next big piece of news involves Kalisinski, an athlete known for his classic, balanced, and highly refined physique. That's exactly why so many people were shocked to learn that he reached around 134 kilograms, roughly 295 pounds, during his current off-season in Thailand. By classic physique standards, that number is absolutely massive. Even at that body weight, still appears relatively conditioned. There isn't an obvious buildup of excessive body fat, which suggests that a large portion of this gain may be muscle volume, along with the usual water retention and inflammation that come with a heavy off-season phase. Still, the visual impact is huge, especially for those who followed his more aesthetic, streamlined look over the past few years. That said, some warning signs have started to raise concern. In recent videos, his face looks noticeably puffier and more flushed, leading many fans to question things like blood pressure, excessive water retention, and the overall health impact of this lifestyle. In a sport where limits are constantly pushed, these details don't go unnoticed. With confirmation that his contest prep is set to begin in February, speculation immediately starts around which shows might target. Events like the New York Pro and the Pittsburgh Pro naturally come up in conversation, especially considering the timing and the level of exposure those competitions offer. Now, the big question is how far this size increase can take him competitively, and what the cost of that will be, both on stage and away from it. In contrast to everything we've seen so far, one number stands out as almost hard to believe. Samson Dauda is currently reported to be weighing around 157 kilograms, roughly 346 pounds, a figure that turns heads even in open bodybuilding, where extreme body weights are already the norm. What's most impressive isn't just the number on the scale, but how Samson carries that weight. Despite being that heavy, he looks comfortable, walking normally, training without major issues, and maintaining a level of mobility that many athletes lose long before they ever approach numbers like this. Another surprising detail is his overall look. For someone pushing close to 350 pounds, Samson doesn't appear excessively bloated or out of control. On the contrary, he looks relatively tight for his size, without that extremely swollen, inflamed appearance that usually comes with such heavy off-season phases. That naturally raises an important question. Is there a planned limit for this phase? Or does Samson intend to keep pushing his body weight even higher before shifting focus toward health, maintenance, and eventually contest prep? Considering it's still early in the year, this off-season may be far from over. Closing out today's news block, we have an important update on Valier. After a long period without clearly showing his progress, the athlete has finally appeared with a more detailed physique update, allowing for a clearer assessment of where he currently stands in professional bodybuilding. What stands out the most in this visual return is the speed of his progress. Even while using relatively low doses of chemical assistance, Ian has managed to regain a significant amount of muscle mass in a short period of time. that suggests his body responded extremely well to a more serious return to training and a disciplined athlete routine. It's true that his chest remains his weakest point, something that has followed him throughout his career. Still, his overall physique shows solid improvement, with well-developed arms and shoulders and a level of size that's starting to command respect again. Right now, he weighs around 124 kilograms, approximately 274 pounds, still far from the biggest names in the open division, but very impressive given the context. Despite all the speculation, Ian himself has been clear: there are no immediate plans for a competitive return. According to him, the current priority is to train seriously, monitor how his body responds, and move forward without pressure tied to specific dates or shows. The goal is steady, gradual progress, without creating unnecessary expectations. Now I want to hear from you. Drop a comment with your opinion, join the conversation, and let me know how you see the future of bodybuilding. And if you enjoyed this new style video format, comment on that too, and let me know if you want to see more content like this here on the channel.